They say there are no sure things in life. Well, I disagree. I knew it was a sure thing the Acolyte wasn't going to get a second season.
The following is a world-class Bullshitters exclusive.
I don't want to boast or brag, but it was so obvious the Acolyte wasn't coming back. Stevie Wonder called me himself to tell me. I suffered through the Acolyte for you guys so you didn't have to waste your time watching it. And what a waste it was. The show claimed to be Star Wars, but it was 1 part Knives Out, 1 part wire fu, 1 part steamy romance shipping bait, and all parts terrible. 1 week it was murder mystery, the next week it was flashbacks with singing witches, another week it was martial arts. It was like the show suffered from multiple personality disorder, and we all suffered along at home. I'll spare you a recap of that suffering, it's all well documented here on this channel, but let's talk about what you're all here for. The Acolyte isn't coming back. Officially. Lucasfilm decided not to renew The Acolyte for a second season, according to Deadline and Variety. Fans won't get to see how the show was supposed to end, and won't know how the plot lines its creator, Leslie Headland, teased at the end of the first season would unravel. Oh no, what a tragedy. Deadline says the show had a strong start and garnered 4.8 million views the first day it became available for streaming, reaching 11.1 million views after 5 days. However, the viewership fell in the coming weeks, and the finale was reportedly the poorest performing for a Star Wars series. Ooh, not good. That is not good news. But I like it. It's like I have this sixth sense. I know when a Disney Plus series is not going to return. It's more of a curse than a gift, but it's something I have to live with. So it's no surprise the Acolyte performed so poorly. People didn't enjoy a show about twin sisters who weren't actually twins, but the same being separated by the Force. Maybe it was the lesbian space witches, perhaps even the pointless Sith Master subplot. There are so many reasons why people did not enjoy the Acolyte, but there's one conclusion it all points to. They did not return. But what about the numbers? Just how bad is it? How many people left? How many people failed to return? How does that compare to the other series? Well, our friends over at That Park Place have the information. Nielsen data reveals that the Acolyte finale viewership was 41% lower than Ahsoka's finale and over 50% less than Andor's finale. Specifically, the Acolyte's finale garnered 335 million minutes watched when it debuted on July 16th, compared to the 488 million minutes for its 2-episode premiere, a decline of over 30%. Even with Nielsen factoring in all the episodes watched, including those who binge-watched the entire series, the finale viewership was significantly lower than the premiere. The show fell off the Nielsen chart by its 3rd week. Compared to the other Star Wars releases, The Acolyte underperformed. The Ahsoka finale had 575 million minutes watched, 41% more. Andor's finale had over 50% more. Kenobi's finale had over 60%, and the Book of Boba Fett's finale had over 62% more. Now, those all pale in comparison to the Mandalorian Season 3 finale, which had over 66% more. These poor numbers explain why showrunner Leslie Headland urged fans to support the show online to help secure a second season, encouraging them to promote it on social media and ignore the negative IMDb scores. Yeah, that's exactly how that works. They always try to do that. Blame the angry haters. It's their fault. Yes, because the fans make the creative decisions they dislike. Trust me. This is what those crazy people are saying. Remember that people hated the first 2 seasons of the Clone Wars and is beloved because of those later seasons. People didn't like Rebel Season 1 and now it has 4 seasons. Y'all don't give shows time to find their footing anymore. Well, Rachel Robinson Supernova, this is a little different of a situation, and I didn't think the first 2 seasons of the Clone Wars were that bad. But I'm not going to sit and argue with you. I don't know you, but you're wrong. Prick Parker says, unbelievably sad. The show was only getting better, but these review bombers destroyed what could have been a start to an interesting storyline with the dark side in focus. Was looking forward to seeing more of Manny Jacinto, Double Broken Hearts. Well, Prick Parker, I'm sorry you don't get to live out that fantasy anymore, but it wasn't the review bombers. Your average everyday person wasn't watching this show, but we can't argue with you. You have your fantasies in place. Tails and 9 Worshipper said, blame the stupid fans who started criticizing the show without even watching it first. The series was great and it was canceled. That makes absolutely no sense, so you're probably a bot, but I'm not even going to comment anymore. Folks, you can see how stupid that one is for yourself. Aofi says, this is beyond disappointing. The first show had me really excited about the future of Star Wars for the first time in a long time, and now what? I'm so sick of this fandom's close-mindedness. Not really the same thing, lady. Like, people just didn't watch the show. But again, we can't argue with these people. They don't know how to logic. And finally, Wallowitz Coefficient said, sad it was canceled. It did have bad writing, but the concept was new and engaging, and Manny Jacinto was one of the best villains of Star Wars yet. Changing the showrunner could have fixed the issue. Fans should really learn to give space and stop the hate campaigns. There is no reasoning behind this comment. It was canceled for a reason we're going to talk about in just a moment. You admit that the show writing was terrible, but the concept was new and engaging. No, it was just bad. And it wasn't engaging, because if it was engaging, people would have watched. We just told you how few people watched. 66% less. Those people gave up after they started watching. Hair, you're ignorant. And you love to be ignorant. And we love to make fun of you for being ignorant. And I just love that these people are trying to imply this is why The Acolyte got canceled. It's not. Their ignorance is why it got made, but here's the truth why the show got canceled. All of these crazy people forget to mention about The Acolyte and its cancellation is this little thing called the budget. The Acolyte was insanely expensive. I didn't want to put this right after the Nielsen data because that would be too many numbers in a row, but after I tell you this part, you'll understand just how big of a disaster The Acolyte truly is. So big, in fact, that these delusional people will even shut their mouths. Now, I have a question for you. What do these films, Get Out, Split, The Purge, Paranormal Activity, Insidious, The Conjuring, Annabelle, Lights Out, The Invisible Man, and A Quiet Place all have in common? Yes, they're all horror movies, but there's also another commonality. Each one of these movies costs less than one episode of The Acolyte. Combined, their budgets don't even equal half of The Acolyte's budget. These films cost a combined $78.4 million to produce, but brought in $2.4 billion. The Acolyte cost $180 million to produce. That's $22.5 million an episode. You can make a lot of entertainment that brings in a lot of money for much less than what Lucasfilm spent on The Acolyte. At this point, I'm convinced it's all a scam, or Lucasfilm is into burning money. Maybe it's revenge on George Lucas. Who knows? It could be anything at this point. This whole system is broken. There isn't another series that costs nearly this much. The Mandalorian cost about $15 million per episode, the most expensive of its time, but we're getting a movie, so something tells me it was money well spent. Andor cost around that per episode. Obi-Wan cost $90 million in total for the entire series. The Book of Boba Fett cost $15 million per episode. That's a lot of money wasted. The numbers all point to the same thing diehard Star Wars fans and opponents of agenda-driven entertainment have been trying to say for years. Disney Star Wars is crap. You can't hide behind minorities and expect good reviews. All of the fan bashing does nothing except kill viewership of a show most people aren't even interested in the first place. All of these cringy interviews turned off people. Proclaiming The Acolyte was the gayest Star Wars series turned off people. Trying to sell Star Wars to middle-aged Hocus Pocus fans turned off people. How is making Star Wars so damn hard? It's really not. These things are bad because Disney thinks diversity sells. It doesn't. The result is always the same. Failure. These big budget failures from Disney are incredibly common. You really think Disney organically produced The Marvels? That was just a movie made for specific reasons. We can take it back further. Comic fans don't read books with these diverse heroes. There's no platform where these types of agenda-driven characters sell, and The Acolyte just proved it again. There are people who didn't watch The Acolyte and are happy it failed. People can see through Disney's agenda. They're the only company doing it. Each new series is a different minority lead. I'm not white, I see right through this. Give me someone cool to watch and stop producing laughable content. The best part of all of this is that all those loose ends that Leslie Headland Hail Married in there went absolutely nowhere. The big twist? Nope, never getting resolved. Yoda? Well, thankfully, we won't have a chance to watch them ruin Yoda further. The Acolyte was always doomed to fail. Everything from Disney Star Wars is because it's always terrible. They can't blame the fans for failure anymore. The numbers don't lie and they spell disaster for them at sacrifice. Average people are on to Disney Star Wars these days. They figured out that it's mostly boring and they give up early on. The Mandalorian does have the name brand recognition, but it still suffered a massive drop. Will a Skeleton Crew fare better? We already know the answer. Well, that was The Acolyte. It was underwhelming at best, terrible on average. We did live post shows, they're in our archives. We also have reviews of each episode. There was a lot of Acolyte coverage, so check it out. I know you're going to enjoy it. Folks, we are on our push to 200K. Say it with me every day, WCBS 200K. Sprinkling in some new store videos coming up very soon. I'm going to be taking you on a very interesting look to see what's out there in the retail world. We know you love our Ollie's toy videos. I see those numbers continue to grow. Thank you to everybody. But be on the lookout for some cool seasonal Sunday stuff. We're going to be hitting up some Halloween things. We're just going to be taking you around because you guys like to go out and see where WCBS is. Folks, join me live every Thursday night on the WCBS podcast at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can join us on our journey through each week in pop culture. It's been getting a lot crazier on the show. We've been kind of stepping into this world of, well, live radio. So join us, have some fun, call in, hang out with the crew, and play a couple of fun games with us each and every week. Folks, I'll be back next time with more. But in the meantime, be smart, be safe, be cool, but always be excellent to each other.